Will you marry me? The words hung in our kitchen like a beautiful promise and a warning bell. Lucas knelt before me, holding up a ring that caught the afternoon light streaming through our window. My heart raced, but not entirely from joy. Yes, I whispered, then louder, yes, of course I will. He slipped the ring onto my finger, and I watched it sparkle while my stomach twisted into knots. The diamond was perfect, too perfect. My mind flashed to all his stories about his family's pranks. About engagement rings that turned fingers green and wedding cakes that exploded in people's faces. It's real, Lucas said, reading my expression. I swear on my life, Isla. No tricks. I pulled him close, breathing in his familiar scent of coffee and cologne. I believe you, I said, but my voice wavered. Behind us, small footsteps padded across the kitchen floor. Are you going to be my real dad now? Sophia asked, her 8-year-old face serious as she studied Lucas. He opened his arms and she ran into them. If you'll have me, kiddo. I watched them embrace, fighting back tears. This was everything I'd wanted since my divorce 3 years ago, a real family, a fresh start. But Lucas's family loomed over us like storm clouds. We need to tell your parents, I said, the words tasting bitter. Lucas's smile faltered. They'll be thrilled. Mom's been asking about grandchildren since Nathan and Caroline's wedding. That's not what I'm worried about. I touched the ring again, twisting it around my finger. Your brother put live crickets in Caroline's wedding dress. He was younger then. That was 2 years ago, Lucas. Sophia looked between us, her dark eyes worried. Is Uncle Nathan mean? No, sweetheart, Lucas said quickly. He just likes to play jokes. My whole family does. It's how we show love. I sent Sophia to finish her homework, waiting until she was out of earshot before continuing. Love shouldn't leave people crying in bathroom stalls or rushing to the emergency room with allergic reactions. They'll be different with you, Lucas insisted, but he wouldn't meet my eyes. They know how much you mean to me. Like they were different with Caroline? Or Amanda before her? Or Rachel? I counted his brothers pranking victims on my fingers. Your family drove away every girlfriend Nathan had until they found someone who'd put up with their traditions. Lucas ran his hands through his hair, a gesture I'd learned meant he was struggling. What do you want me to do? They're my family. I want you to stand up to them. To tell them that if they can't respect boundaries, they won't be welcome in our lives. The silence stretched between us like a chasm. Finally, Lucas pulled out his phone. I'll call them now. We'll go over for dinner tonight, tell them about the engagement. Give them a chance to prove you wrong. My throat tightened. And if they don't? Then we'll deal with it together. He squeezed my hand, his thumb brushing over the ring. I choose you, Isla. You and Sophia. Always. I nodded, trying to believe him. But as he dialed his mother's number, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. The Bennetts had turned cruelty into an art form, disguising it as family tradition. And now I was about to become one of them. Mom? Lucas's voice brightened artificially. Great news. We're coming over for dinner tonight. There's something we need to tell you. I watched him talk, already planning how to protect myself, and more importantly, how to protect Sophia from whatever the Bennetts had in store for us. Because one thing was certain, they wouldn't change their ways without a fight. And I was ready to fight back. The engagement ring turned my finger green 3 days after the dinner at the Bennetts. I stared at the stain spreading across my skin like a bruise, remembering Evelyn's too bright smile as she hugged me. "Welcome to the family, darling." Lucas found me scrubbing my hand raw in the bathroom sink. "I'll kill them," he said, but his voice cracked. "I'll call them right now." "Don't bother." I wrapped a towel around my hand, hiding the evidence. "Just tell me one thing, did you know?" "God, no." "Isla, I swear." "Because Nathan was filming the whole dinner on his phone. And your mother kept asking to see the ring up close. And your father." I swallowed hard. "Your father said something about how some metals react differently to different people." Lucas slumped against the doorframe. "They must have switched the rings when you went to help Mom in the kitchen. They violated our engagement, Lucas. The moment that was supposed to be just ours." My voice stayed steady, but inside, something hardened. "And now we have to decide about the wedding." "What do you mean?" "Whether we're inviting them at all." The silence stretched between us like a rubber band about to snap. Finally, Lucas straightened. "They're my family." "And what am I?" "You're everything." He reached for me, but I stepped back. "But they'll never forgive me if I exclude them from my wedding. And I'll never forgive them if they ruin it." Sophia's voice drifted up from downstairs, singing along to some cartoon. The sound anchored me, reminded me what really mattered. "Fine," I said. "They can come. But we're setting conditions." Lucas nodded eagerly. "Anything." "First, Nathan surrenders his phone at the door. No cameras, no social media. Done. Second, your parents sign a contract. If they pull any pranks, any at all, they pay for the entire wedding." Lucas winced. "They won't like that." "That's the point. Hit them where it hurts, their wallet." I held up my stained hand. "Unless you think this is funny?" "Of course not." He pulled me close, and this time I let him. "I'll talk to them tomorrow. Make them understand this is different." But when Lucas returned from his parents' house the next day, his face told me everything. "They signed," he said, dropping a piece of paper on our kitchen counter. "But Mom said something about how Caroline didn't make these kinds of demands before her wedding. Caroline lets Nathan put worms in her coffee." "She doesn't." Lucas stopped, seeing my expression. "Okay, maybe once. But they promised to behave this time. Mom even cried when I showed her your hand." I picked up the contract, studying Evelyn and Richard's signatures. Crocodile tears. "Can't you give them a chance?" "For me?" Looking at him, at the hope in his eyes, the desperate need to believe his family could change, I felt my resolve soften. "One chance," I said. "But I'm not telling them about the backup plan." "What backup plan?" I smiled, thinking of the security team I'd already hired, the cameras I'd arranged to monitor the cake, the dress, everything. "The less you know, the better. Just trust me." Lucas kissed my forehead. "Always." That night, as I tucked Sophia into bed, she asked about her new grandparents. "Are they going to come to the wedding?" "Yes, sweetheart. Even though they're mean sometimes?" I smoothed her hair back, choosing my words carefully. "Sometimes people do mean things because they think it's funny. But that doesn't make it okay. Like when Tommy put glue on Sarah's chair at school?" "Exactly like that." "And what happened to Tommy?" "He got in trouble. And had to say sorry." "That's right." I kissed her goodnight, then paused at the door. "Sophia?" If you ever see grandma or grandpa doing something that seems wrong, even if they say it's just a joke, you tell me right away. Okay? She nodded solemnly. I promise. Walking back downstairs, I caught my reflection in the hallway mirror. The woman staring back looked different somehow, harder, more determined. The Bennetts thought they were teaching me a lesson about their family traditions. Instead, they were about to learn one about consequences. Let them sign their contracts. Let them make their promises. I had plans of my own, and unlike theirs, mine wouldn't end in laughter. The wedding cake exploded in my face like a bomb of frosting and betrayal. One moment I was smiling, knife poised above the pristine white tears, Lucas's hands steady over mine. The next, I was wearing our $3,000 cake, chunks of it sliding down my dress while the Bennett family roared with laughter. Through the sugary haze, I saw Nathan's phone pointed at me, Caroline covering her mouth in mock horror. Evelyn clutched Richard's arm, tears of mirth streaming down her face. "Oh, darling," she wheezed, "you should see yourself." The ballroom fell silent except for their cackling. 200 guests watched, frozen, as I stood there dripping vanilla buttercream. Lucas's hand left mine. "You promised," he said, his voice deadly quiet. "You signed a contract." "Oh, lighten up," Richard chuckled. "It's tradition." "Tradition?" Lucas grabbed Nathan's phone, hurling it against the wall. It shattered like my trust in his family. "You just cost yourselves $50,000. Evelyn's laughter died. "Now, sweetheart. Don't." I finally found my voice, sharp as broken glass. "Don't you dare try to explain this away." Sophia appeared at my side, her flower girl dress pristine compared to my ruined gown. She took my sticky hand. "Mama?" "It's okay, baby." I squeezed her fingers, anchoring myself. "Go with Aunt Ava for a minute." Lucas's aunt stepped forward, the only Bennett not laughing. She led Sophia away, shooting a disgusted look at her family. "Come on, Isla," Nathan called. "The video's going to get 1,000,000 views." Lucas lunged for his brother, but I caught his arm. "Don't. They're not worth it." "Listen to your wife," Richard said. "It's just a bit of fun." "Fun?" I turned to face them, my voice carrying across the silent ballroom. "You want to know what's fun?" "The restraining order I'm filing tomorrow. The lawsuit for breach of contract. The social media posts I'll make showing exactly what kind of family you are." "You wouldn't dare," Evelyn hissed, all pretense of humor gone. "Try me." I pulled Lucas toward the door. "We're leaving. Anyone who's not a Bennett is welcome to stay and enjoy the reception. The rest of you can go to hell." "Isla, wait," Caroline started forward, but Nathan yanked her back. "Let the princess go," he sneered. "She clearly can't take a joke." Lucas broke free of my grip then, his fist connecting with Nathan's jaw. The crack echoed through the ballroom, followed by gasps and screams. I didn't stay to watch the chaos unfold. In the bridal suite, I tried salvaging what I could of my dress. Lucas found me there, his knuckles bloody. "I'm so sorry," he whispered, reaching for me. I stepped back. "Don't. Just. Don't. What do you want me to do?" "I want you to choose." The words came out raw, honest. "Them or us." "Because I can't do this anymore, Lucas. I won't let Sophia grow up thinking this is normal." He sank into a chair, head in his hands. "They're my family. And we're not." "Of course you are. But cutting them off completely. They humiliated me on my wedding day. They filmed it. They laughed. My voice cracked. And you still can't choose? The silence stretched between us like years of future heartbreak. Finally, Lucas looked up, his eyes red. I'll tell them we're done. No contact, no holidays, nothing. Don't make promises you can't keep. I mean it this time. He stood, reaching for me again. This time, I let him pull me close. We'll move if we have to. Change our numbers. Whatever it takes. I nodded against his chest, breathing in his cologne mixed with vanilla frosting. But even as he held me, even as he whispered promises and apologies, I felt something shift inside me. The woman who walked down the aisle today died in that ballroom, replaced by someone harder, someone who understood that sometimes love wasn't enough. Because Lucas might have chosen me today, but tomorrow would test that choice. And the day after. And every day until either his family broke him or he broke them. I just had to decide which outcome I was willing to wait for. The pregnancy test shook in my hands like a live wire. 2 pink lines, clear, unmistakable, terrifying. 3 months of marriage, 3 months of fragile peace with the Bennetts, and now this bomb waiting to explode. I buried the test at the bottom of the kitchen trash, beneath coffee grounds and yesterday's mail. Lucas couldn't know. Not yet. Not until I figured out how to protect this child from his family's idea of tradition. Mama? Sophia padded into the kitchen, still in her pajamas. Are you sick again? I forced a smile. Just a little queasy, baby. Nothing to worry about. Is that why you were crying in the bathroom? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Evelyn's name flashed on the screen, making my stomach lurch for entirely different reasons. I declined the call, but seconds later, a text appeared. Saw you at the pharmacy yesterday. Buying something special? Winking face. The winky face mocked me. I deleted the message, but the damage was done. They knew. Somehow, they always knew. Lucas came home that evening with takeout and a strange expression. Mom called. Of course she did. I pushed my untouched food around the plate. Why didn't you tell me? Tell you what? Isla. He reached across the table, but I pulled back. She says you're pregnant. Are you? The silence stretched between us like a tripwire. Finally, I nodded. His face lit up. That's amazing! We have to celebrate, tell everyone. No. The word came out sharp enough to make Sophia look up from her homework. We're not telling them anything. They're already planning a baby shower. Mom's thinking games, decorations. Pranks? My fork clattered against the plate. What will it be this time? Fake miscarriage announcements? Gender reveal powder that stains skin? Or maybe they'll just wait until the birth and switch our baby with a doll? That's not fair. They've been trying. 3 weeks ago, Nathan put laxatives in Caroline's coffee. She was sick for days. That was different. They were just. Just what, Lucas? Just having fun? Just keeping up tradition? I stood, my chair scraping back. I won't let them near this baby. I won't let them turn our child into another punchline. Sophia slipped away to her room, quiet as a shadow. She'd gotten good at disappearing when voices rose. Lucas ran his hands through his hair. What do you want me to do? They're excited about their first grandchild. Second, I corrected. Or did you forget about Caroline's miscarriage after Nathan's harmless birthday surprise? The color drained from his face. We never talked about that day, about Caroline's screams when the jack-in-the-box sprayed her with compressed air, about the bleeding that followed. "That was an accident," he whispered. "Everything's an accident with them. Everything's just a joke until someone gets hurt." I pressed a hand to my still flat stomach. "But I won't let them hurt this baby. Even if that means leaving." "Leaving?" Lucas stood so quickly his chair toppled. "You can't be serious. Try me." I met his gaze steadily. "Choose, Lucas. Right now. Either we move somewhere they can't find us, or what? Or I'll leave anyway. With both my children." The threat hung between us like poison gas. Lucas stared at me, then at the doorway where Sophia had disappeared, then back at me. "They're changing," he said weakly. "No. They're just getting better at hiding it." I walked to the window, watching darkness settle over our neighborhood. I won't raise another child in fear of their next tradition. Behind me, Lucas's phone buzzed. Another text from Evelyn, probably more baby shower ideas, more promises of family togetherness. More lies. "1 week," I said, not turning around. "That's how long you have to decide. After that, I'm done waiting." His footsteps crossed the kitchen, paused at the doorway. "I love you," he said softly. "I know." I watched his reflection in the window glass. But sometimes love isn't enough. After he left, I pulled out my phone and opened a new message to Aunt Ava. She'd helped Caroline once, tried to at least. Maybe she'd help me too. "Need advice," I typed. "About leaving." Her response came immediately, "Come over tomorrow. Don't tell anyone." I deleted the exchange, then went to check on Sophia. She was already asleep, clutching her stuffed rabbit, a gift from the Bennetts that I'd carefully checked for hidden cameras or pranks. Never again, I promised silently. Never again would my children have to check their toys for traps. The funeral home smelled of lilies and lies. I sat in the front row, my black dress stretched tight across my 7-month pregnant belly, while the Bennetts turned my husband's death into their final joke. "Remember when Lucas put salt in the sugar bowl?" Nathan's voice cracked with laughter, not grief, as he delivered the eulogy. Mom was spitting out her coffee for days. Beside me, Sophia clutched my hand. 10 days since the accident, and she hadn't spoken a word. Not since the police came to our door. Not since I had to tell her Daddy wasn't coming home. And at his wedding, Nathan continued, but Aunt Ava cut him off. "That's enough, Nathan." "Oh, come on." Even Isla has to admit the cake thing was classic Lucas. My chair scraped back before I realized I was standing. The room went silent except for Evelyn's poorly concealed giggles. She'd been drinking since breakfast, I'd smelled it on her breath when she'd hugged me, whispered, "At least he went out with a bang." The crash had been head-on. Lucas died instantly. The other driver walked away. Classic Lucas? My voice carried across the chapel. "My husband is dead. Your brother is dead. And you're turning his funeral into a comedy routine?" "Lighten up," Richard called from his seat. "He would have wanted us to laugh. He wanted you to change." The words tasted like blood in my mouth. "He wanted you to stop hurting people. To be better. But you couldn't even give him that." Caroline stood, reaching for me. "Isla, you're upset. The baby. Don't." I jerked away. "Don't pretend you care now. Where were you when Nathan put those firecrackers in Lucas's car last month?" The ones that made him swerve into a lamppost? The color drained from Caroline's face. Nathan's laughter died. What? Aunt Ava's voice cut through the silence. What firecrackers? Just a little surprise, Nathan muttered. To celebrate the baby. Lucas thought it was funny. He could have died then. The words exploded from me. He almost did. But you just kept pushing, didn't you? Every prank, every surprise, pushing and pushing until... Now wait just a minute, Richard stood, face red. You can't possibly be suggesting. Your traditions killed my husband. Each word fell like a hammer. Your jokes, your pranks, your constant need to hurt people for fun, it all led to this. To him being distracted, paranoid, always looking over his shoulder for the next attack from his own family. Evelyn swayed to her feet. How dare you? We loved Lucas. You loved having a victim. I turned to the gathered mourners, to the faces I recognized from years of family gatherings. Did you know they put laxatives in Caroline's coffee when she was pregnant? That she lost the baby? Did you know they filled Lucas's car with fireworks last month? Did you laugh then? Are you laughing now? The silence was absolute. Even Nathan looked sick. Mama? Sophia's voice, barely a whisper, broke something inside me. Can we go home? I gathered her close, feeling my unborn child kick against her as we embraced. Yes, baby. We're leaving. I looked at the Bennetts one last time. And we're never coming back. You can't keep us from our grandchildren, Evelyn called after us. We have rights. I turned at the door, one hand on my belly, the other holding Sophia. Try to come near us, and I'll show you what real revenge looks like. Because unlike you, I don't think causing pain is funny. Outside, Aunt Ava waited by her car. I'll drive you home. No. I pulled out my phone. I'm calling a cab. And then I'm calling my lawyer. East Law. They need to pay, Ava. Not just for Lucas. For everyone they've hurt. For every joke that left scars. I met her eyes. Will you help me? She glanced back at the chapel, where Nathan was now arguing with Richard, where Caroline sat crying. Where Evelyn knocked back another drink from her flask. Yes, she said finally. It's time someone stopped them. As we waited for the cab, I felt Lucas's absence like a physical wound. But beneath the grief, something else grew alongside our child, a determination that would reshape the Bennett family forever. They wanted to play games? Fine. But this time, I'd make the rules. 5 years passed like a held breath. Lucas Jr., we called him LJ, grew into his father's smile and my stubbornness. Sophia turned 13, all sharp edges and quiet strength. And the Bennetts? They waited, like vultures circling a wounded animal. The Christmas card arrived on a Tuesday. Sophia brought it in with the mail, her hands trembling. They want us to come for Christmas, Mom. I almost said no. Should have said no. But LJ looked up from his toys, eyes bright with curiosity about the family we never discussed, and something inside me cracked. Maybe it's time, Aunt Ava said over the phone that night. They've changed, Isla. The therapy, the medications. Evelyn's on anxiety meds. That doesn't erase what they did. No, but they're trying. Nathan hasn't pulled a prank in years. Caroline's pregnant again. My fingers found the scar on my palm, from the joke gift they'd sent after Lucas died, a music box that shattered when opened. One chance, I said finally. Christmas morning only. We leave at the first sign of trouble. The Bennett house looked smaller than I remembered. Sophia gripped my hand as we approached, LJ balanced on my hip. He looked so much like Lucas it hurt. Welcome home. Evelyn's smile seemed genuine, her hand steady as she reached for LJ. I stepped back. No touching without permission. That was the agreement. Richard appeared behind her, gray-haired and subdued. Of course. We understand. The morning started well enough. Normal presents, normal breakfast. Nathan and Caroline sat across from us, their own toddler throwing Cheerios. No exploding packages, no hidden cameras, no cruel surprises. Then LJ opened the last gift. The Jack-in-the-Box was identical to the one that had triggered Caroline's miscarriage years ago. Before I could stop him, LJ turned the crank. No! Caroline screamed, but it was too late. The clown burst forth, spraying something that smelled like rotten eggs. LJ fell backward, crying. Sophia knocked the toy away, but the damage was done. It was just meant to be funny, Nathan said quickly. A little stink bomb, that's all. Funny? I lifted LJ, checking him for injuries. You think traumatizing children is funny? Oh, lighten up, Evelyn snapped, mask finally slipping. This is why Lucas always defended us. He understood family traditions. Lucas is dead. The words echoed off expensive wallpaper. Dead because of your traditions, your pranks, your stupid need to hurt people for entertainment. Now wait just a minute, Richard started, but I was already moving. Sophia, get our coats. We're leaving. But the presents, LJ whimpered. Leave them. I turned to the Bennetts, fury burning away 5 years of careful healing. You want gifts? Here's yours. I pulled out my phone, opened the video I'd been recording since we arrived. Every conversation. Every joke. Every admission of past pranks. All recorded. All about to go viral unless you agree to my terms. You wouldn't dare, Nathan growled. Try me. One post about Caroline's miscarriage, about Lucas's accident, about today, how long before your business partners see it? Your friends? Your church? Caroline touched her pregnant belly protectively. Isla, please. Sign over Lucas's trust fund to LJ. All of it. And sign a legal agreement never to contact us again. That's blackmail, Richard sputtered. No, that's consequences. Something you've avoided your whole lives. I headed for the door, children in tow. You have until New Year's to decide. You're just like us now, Evelyn called after me. Using pain for power. Lucas would be ashamed. I paused, remembering Lucas's last morning, how he'd kissed me goodbye, promised to talk to them one last time about changing. How he never came home. Maybe I am becoming like you, I said quietly. But at least I'm honest about my cruelty. Outside, snow fell like ash. Sophia helped LJ into the car while I stood watching the house where Lucas grew up, where he learned that love and pain were interchangeable. Mom? Sophia's voice was small. Are we really going to post that video? I looked at my children, Lucas's children, and felt the weight of choices stretching out before us. That depends on them. And on whether revenge tastes as sweet as they always claimed it did. The drive home was silent except for LJ's quiet sobs. In my pocket, my phone buzzed with messages from the Bennetts, but I didn't check them. Let them worry. Let them fear. Let them finally understand how it feels to be on the other side of their games. Sometimes the only way to end a tradition is to break it completely. The video went viral faster than a California wildfire. 3 million views in 24 hours. Comment sections exploding with outrage. Local news stations calling. The Bennett family's carefully constructed facade crumbled with each share, each angry reaction, each exposed truth. I watched it burn from behind my screen, LJ asleep in my lap, while Sophia did homework at the kitchen table. Mom? She looked up from her textbook. Aunt Caroline's trying to video call. My finger hovered over the accept button. Caroline's face appeared, tear-streaked and hollow. They're destroying everything, she whispered. Nathan's business partners are pulling out. The church asked Mom and Dad to step down from the board. Everyone knows. That was the point. Please, take it down. We'll sign whatever you want. Too late. I shifted LJ gently. The truth doesn't belong to me anymore. It belongs to everyone you've ever hurt. The doorbell rang. Through the security camera, I saw them all, Evelyn, Richard, Nathan, even Aunt Ava. Standing in the snow like supplicants at a temple. Don't answer it, Caroline pleaded. Nathan's. He's not himself. I ended the call. Sophia, take LJ upstairs. Lock the door. Don't come down unless I call you. The doorbell rang again, more insistent. I opened it, keeping the security chain latched. Come to plant more bombs? Hide more cameras? We came to apologize, Evelyn said, but Nathan shoved past her. You vindictive bitch. His face was red, spittle flying. You've ruined us. No, you ruined yourselves. I just showed everyone the truth. The truth? He slammed his fist against the door. The truth is Lucas loved our traditions. He understood family. The truth is Lucas was terrified of you. The words exploded from me. He checked his car every morning for pranks. Tested his food before eating. Jumped at loud noises. You didn't love him, you tortured him. That's not Richard started, but Aunt Ava cut him off. Yes, it is. She stepped forward. We all saw it. We just pretended not to. Shut up, Ava, Evelyn snapped. You were always too soft. And you were always too cruel. Ava pulled out her phone. Which is why I saved every text, every email, every video of your pranks for the past 20 years. Including the ones about Lucas's accident. Nathan went pale. What are you talking about? The text you sent your mother the morning Lucas died. About the surprise you planned for his car. The one you deleted after you heard about the crash. The porch fell silent except for the wind. Even Nathan stopped breathing. I didn't. He whispered. I never meant. None of us meant it, Ava said quietly. But we let it happen. All of it. And now we pay the price. I looked at them, really looked. At Evelyn's trembling hands, Richard's stooped shoulders, Nathan's broken expression. At the family that had terrorized so many people in the name of tradition, now destroyed by their own legacy. The trust fund papers, I said finally. Do you have them? Richard pulled out an envelope. Signed and notarized. Everything goes to LJ. And the restraining order? That too. Evelyn's voice cracked. But please, let us at least send cards on their birthdays. No. I took the envelope. You don't get to hurt them anymore. Not ever again. Then why did you really post that video? Nathan asked. If not for negotiations? I thought of Lucas, of his last morning, of all the mornings he spent checking for traps and pranks. Of the fear that lived in him until the day he died. Because somewhere out there, another family thinks cruelty is funny. Another child is learning that love means pain. Maybe now they'll think twice. We could change, Evelyn whispered. Then change. But do it far away from us. I closed the door on their protests, their pleas, their too-late apologies. Upstairs, I heard LJ laughing at something Sophia said, the sound pure and unburdened by fear. My phone buzzed with another news request, another chance to tell our story. But as I looked at the papers in my hands, justice served cold and clean, I realized I was done with the Bennett's story. It was time to write our own. The package arrived on Lucas's birthday. No return address, just a small box wrapped in plain brown paper. Inside, I found an old leather journal and a letter from Aunt Ava. Found this while cleaning out the attic. It was Lucas's. You should have it. Sophia helped LJ with his homework while I sat at the kitchen table, running my fingers over the worn cover. The last page held an entry dated 3 days before the accident. Sometimes I wonder if they can change. If anyone can. Mom says pranks are how we show love, but all I see is fear. In Isla's eyes when she checks her food. In Caroline's when Nathan enters a room. In Sophia's when she visits her grandparents. I'm going to end it tomorrow. Tell them either they get help or they lose us. Maybe they'll finally understand that real love doesn't leave scars. My hands shook as I turned back through the pages, finding years of documented pranks, accidents, near misses. Lucas had been building a case, gathering evidence, preparing to do exactly what I'd done with that viral video. The doorbell rang. Through the window, I saw Caroline standing on the porch, heavily pregnant, holding something. 5 minutes, I said through the door. That's all you get. She held out a tablet. Nathan's in therapy. Real therapy, not just the court-ordered kind. He wanted you to see this. The video showed Nathan in a sterile office, tears streaming down his face. I killed my brother, he said to someone off-screen. Not directly, but I killed him all the same. With every prank, every scare, every time I made him feel unsafe in his own life. And I can't take it back. I can't fix it. But I can change. I have to change. Why show me this? Caroline touched her belly. Because I'm having a girl. And I need to know if there's ever a chance. If we prove we're different. That's not my decision anymore. I handed back the tablet. It's theirs. I gestured to where Sophia and LJ watched from the window. They'd grown so much, Sophia nearly as tall as me now, LJ with Lucas's quiet strength in his eyes. But if you want a chance, I added, start with the truth. Show them the journal. Let them see who their father really was, and what he died trying to change. And Mom and Dad? They made their choices. Every day, for years, they chose cruelty over kindness. Now they live with those choices. Caroline nodded, then pulled out one last item, a sealed envelope. Lucas wrote this the week before. Before everything. Made me promise to give it to you if anything ever happened to him. I was too ashamed until now. Inside, I found a single page. My love. If you're reading this, I failed. Failed to protect you from my family, failed to change them, maybe failed to come home to you. But please know this, you showed me what real love looks like. Not the twisted version I grew up with, but something pure and strong and kind. Whatever happens, don't let them dim that light in you. Don't let revenge poison what makes you beautiful. Show our children that breaking cycles takes more courage than continuing them. I love you. I'm sorry I couldn't fix this. L. Caroline left quietly while I read. When I looked up, Sophia and LJ stood beside me. Can we read it? Sophia asked. Yes. I handed them the letter, watching their faces as they absorbed their father's last words. Dad was brave, LJ said finally. Yes, he was. I pulled them close, breathing in the scent of homework and hope and healing. And so are we. Later, I added my own entry to Lucas's journal. You didn't fail, my love. You planted the seeds of change. And though you didn't live to see it bloom, our children will grow up knowing that real love leaves no scars, only wings. The cycle ends with us. I closed the journal, leaving space for whatever stories our future might hold. Some pages, after all, are better left blank than filled with false laughter and hidden pain. Outside, spring rain washed away the last traces of winter, and somewhere, a family tradition died so that something better could grow in its place.